predictions for the divisional round. I figured since there's so few games in the playoffs, I could just fit the recap and the predictions into one video rather than the typical 2 videos I do for each. It was a pretty good wild card round. We had some really good games, including one of the craziest comebacks I've ever seen. And we will get right into all of the action here with the recap. Without much further ado, we will open up our trusty notebook here to a fresh page and get started. Here is our fresh page. We will have the away team on the left and the home team on the right. So we start with our wild card round recap. We had first on Saturday the Seahawks versus the 49ers. This was the 7 versus the 2 seed in the NFC. The 49ers won this game 41-23. Big second half from the 49ers in this one after being down 17-16 at halftime. It was looking a little worrying there for a sec for them, but big second half and they really ran away with this one. Brock Purdy threw for 332 yards and 3 touchdowns. Christian McCaffrey led the game with 119 rushing yards. And DK Metcalf of the Seahawks led the game with 136 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. So the 49ers move on and the Seahawks are eliminated. And next we had the 5 seed Chargers versus the 4 seed Jaguars. And this is the crazy comeback I was talking about earlier. The Chargers lost 30-31 in this one versus the Jaguars. Now, at one point this game was 27-0 in favor of the Chargers, and Trevor Lawrence of the Jaguars threw 4 interceptions, including 3 in the first quarter. It was 27-7 at halftime, and I don't know what happened between halftime and the end of the game, but the Jaguars somehow pulled off a miraculous comeback at home to beat the Chargers and move on to the divisional round where they will play the Chiefs. I know I predicted the Jaguars to win this game, and I actually made just a small $5 parlay of all of my my wild card winner picks from my previous video, and so I really felt like an idiot when I picked the Jaguars and had them in my parlay, and then they were down 27-0 so quickly. But again, they were able to pull it off, so I was pretty happy with that, and kept my streak alive. So Trevor Lawrence threw for 288 yards and 4 touchdowns to lead the game, but he also had those 4 interceptions. Travis Etienne led the game with 109 rushing yards, and Gerald Everett led the game in receiving with 109 yards and a touchdown. And we move on to Sunday's matchups, where we had the 7-seed Dolphins facing off versus the 2-seed Bills. And this game was a lot closer than I anticipated. The Bills won 34-31. Now, the Dolphins were starting third-string quarterback Skylar Thompson in this one, and I thought the Bills were gonna blow them out a little more, not let them score 31 points with a third-string quarterback, but the Dolphins showed some resiliency. It is definitely tough to play a division opponent for the 3rd time. They really know a lot about you and how you play and what you bring to the table, so a tough showing by the Dolphins, but ultimately could not pull out the win here. Josh Allen led the game with 352 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Devin Singletary led the game with just 48 rushing yards, and Stephon Diggs led the game with 114 receiving yards. Next up, we had the 6-seed Giants versus the 3-seed Vikings. The Giants won 31-24. In the first, well, actually, I guess technically the second upset of the playoffs spread-wise, but the first seed upset of the playoffs, the Giants over the Vikings. Vikings, definitely a fraudulent team. I definitely mentioned that in my predictions video I had. The Giants beating the Vikings. They have a negative point differential, I think, which is just insane for a team that was 13-4 on the year, and they were 11-0 in one-score games, so the Vikings were bound to lose at some point, and the Giants, great game by Daniel Jones in this one. I have a lot of Giants fans in my comments coming at my neck for calling them overrated. I don't think they're as good as their record says, but I also think they're maybe better than I initially thought they were. But again, the Vikings were a very fraudulent team, so I'm excited to see how they do against the Eagles for their third matchup of the season. That I think should be a good game. Daniel Jones led this game with 301 passing yards and 2 touchdowns. He also led the game with 78 rushing yards on a pretty ridiculous 17 carries. And TJ Hawkinson led the game with 129 receiving yards for the Vikings. Next up, we have another 6 versus 3 matchup, which was the Ravens versus the 3-seed Bengals. The Bengals won this one 24-17. Which apparently I predicted the exact score to in my predictions video. I got all of the first 5 games correct for the wild card round. Unfortunately, as you'll see, I didn't get the next one right, but 5 for 6 I think is pretty good, including one exact score. Although this game could have been a lot different. The score was 17-17, and the Ravens were on the 2-yard line or 1-yard line of the Bengals going in to score a touchdown with about 8 minutes left. Sam Hubbard of the Bengals returned it 98 yards to take a 7-point lead in this one. So, one play really turned things in a complete 180 in this one. So, big play there to keep the Bengals' playoff hopes alive, and they move on to the divisional round. Huntley, despite the fumble, led the game in passing with 226 yards and 2 touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins led the game with 62 rushing yards, and Jamar Chase led the game with 84 receiving yards and a touchdown. And finally, the last wild card game is the Cowboys-Bucks, or was Cowboys-Bucks, in which the Cowboys completely dominated the Buccaneers 31-14. My one slip up in my predictions was picking the Bucks, and I don't know why I didn't see it coming. I mean, they've been awful all year long. I don't know, was blinded by the Brady in the playoffs kind of perception. I really thought they were going to do a lot better in this one, but the offense was just horrible, as it's been all year. They were inside the Bucks 5 when it was 6-0, and they were going in to score, but Brady threw a pick, his first red zone pick in almost 3 years. So maybe if they score there, the game goes differently, and also, despite the Bucks missing 4 extra points in a row, which is something I've never seen before. I don't think it's ever happened before, but Brett Maher missed 4 extra points in a row, which was just crazy to watch on TV. But despite all that, yeah, the Bucks just got completely outplayed in this one, so hats off to the Cowboys for that performance. So, that is, sorry, I forgot to mention the stat leaders in that one. Brady threw for 351 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tony Pollard ran for 77 yards. And Dalton Schultz had 95 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the game. So, with that being said, we can move on to our predictions for the rest of the playoffs. We were 5-6 in the wild card round, so hopefully we can build off that good performance. So, starting in the AFC, we have, again, away and home over here. We have the Jaguars versus Chiefs, the 4 versus the 1 seed. Kansas City's favored 8.5, and the over-under is 52.5. I do like the Chiefs to win this game. I had them in my original predictions to win this game. I don't see that changing here, but I do think the Jaguars will put up a pretty decent fight. I'll go 24-30 for Kansas City. Pretty similar to the Jaguars last game. They just don't score that last touchdown, so we'll go 24-30 for the Chiefs. And next up, we have a huge game here. Bills-Bengals. The Bills are favored 5.5, and the over-under is 48.5. Again, I'm going to stick with my original prediction here. I don't have really any reason for this to change. Neither the Bills or Bengals looked, super impressive in their wild card games, so I'm going to stick with the Bills here, but I really do think this one is kind of like a coin toss. I'll go 28-27 for Buffalo. I think kind of like the Bengals-Ravens game, one big play could really decide this game and turn it one way or another, so that should be a good one. And so that leaves us with our AFC Championship of Bills versus Chiefs, and this again would be at a neutral site due to the Damar Hamlin incident and Buffalo playing one less game than Kansas City. And once again, we'll stick with our original prediction, and I'll take Buffalo to win 31-27. Josh Allen getting his revenge over Mahomes for last year. That leaves us with the NFC. We start the NFC with the 6-seed Giants versus the 1-seed Eagles. Divisional matchup here, the third time these teams meet this season. The Eagles are favored 7.5, and the over-under is 48. Again, I was pretty impressed with the Giants over the Vikings and their performance versus the Eagles in the last week of the season, so I think this game might be a little closer than the spread suggests, but I do think the Eagles come out on top here. I'll go 27-21 for Philly. Highlighter running out of steam here. We'll make a switch to our backup. And then we have another pretty good matchup here, which is the 5-seed Cowboys versus the 2-seed 49ers. Now, originally I had the 49ers losing to the Bucs here, but obviously the Bucs were eliminated, so that can't happen. We have the 49ers favored 4, and the over-under is 46. Sorry, 49ers fans, but I will have you get upset here. Again, can't have the 1 and 2 seed make the championship from both conferences. Did you really think I would let that happen? No. So we'll take the Cowboys here. 27-24. Field goal victory. Brett Maher gets over his case of the yips that he had versus the Bucs and kicks them to victory in San Francisco. And that leaves us with the 5-seed Cowboys versus the 1-seed Eagles in the NFC Championship. And this another divisional matchup, so this will be the third time they meet. This honestly, I think could go either way. I think this will be a really good matchup if it does happen. But I'm gonna stick with the Eagles here, 28-24. I had them in my first predictions video to make the Super Bowl, and I will leave them there with a win over Dallas, and that leaves us with the 2 seed out of the AFC versus the 1 seed out of the NFC, the Bills versus the Eagles in a thrilling Super Bowl matchup. And if you saw my predictions video before, again, you'll know where this is going. I'm going to stick with the Bills to win the Super Bowl, and I'll go 28-24 for Buffalo. Super Bowl. Josh Allen leads them to the promised land. And yeah, that will do it for my recap and new predictions for the NFL playoffs. Let me know what you agree with and what you disagree with down in the comments, and who you think is going to win the Super Bowl. Honestly, I could see Chiefs, Bengals, Bills, Cowboys, Niners, Eagles. Sorry, Jaguars and Giants fans, but any team but those two I could see winning the Super Bowl this year. So it should be a pretty thrilling rest of the playoffs, hoping for some good games, of course. And yeah, with that being said, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time.